Hello, hello, Sunday night, 8 o'clock, Diana the Happy Lawyer time. Sunday night, 8 o'clock, Diana the Happy Lawyer time. All right, how are you? It is Sunday night, 8 o'clock, Diana the Happy Lawyer time. Welcome to this week's episode. I'm very excited because I feel just great, and it's always good to feel great when I'm doing the show because sometimes, you got to just be into it to, feel it come through. Last week I was talking a lot about different words, and some of the words that I really loved was the impossible, which also means I'm possible. That was actually from 2 weeks ago. And another great couple of words that I discussed last week was being able to respond as opposed to react to situations. When you're reacting, you're kind of like, we've heard this knee-jerk reaction, or she had a bad reaction, or even an allergic reaction. I mean, a reaction is always something that is has much more energy, explosive connotation. But responding, I mean, you never have an allergic, well, I guess you could have an allergic response. But an allergic response, even that, it sounds like it's controlled. So there's the whole response to items and situations that is a controlled thing as opposed to reacting, which is, can be crazy. And those two words are very important in my life. I try to pay attention to when I'm responding and when I'm reacting. And that leads us into tonight's episode. If you want to listen to more about responding and reacting and the other words that I enjoyed using last week, feel free to listen to last week's show. Tonight I'm talking about living in the eye of the storm, or, living through the eye of the storm. And it's it basically, so this is what we're talking about. Hopefully this is going to work because I wrote it backwards. The storm. Yeah, no, it didn't work. The S didn't work. Okay, that looks stupid. But, we all know that the storm is something that you're... Okay, here it is. Here's the storm without the words. The storm is like the hurricane. And this is the eye of the storm. And in the eye of the storm, it's very calm. And what's going on, what's going on around it, around the eye of the storm, is always going to be the most hectic and crazy stuff. Out here, the outer bands of the storm are never as crazy. But right here, the eye of the storm is right next to the most craziest stuff that's going on with the storm. The highest winds and the most violent action that's going on in right next to the eye of the storm. So lots of times we get stuck here in the wall before you get to the eye of the storm, and that can definitely make things, that's where a lot of us live. A lot of us live right here, in the edge of the storm. I have plenty of friends that live on the edge, literally, and they're constantly in panic mode or crisis-oriented living, and it's not good. It's really not the way you want to be. You want to be... Now, we're all going to have storms, okay? It would be nice to live over here or over here or over here for our whole lives, and certainly we should strive to be out of the storm, but chances are you're going to hit storms. Storms are going to happen. So what you want to do is you want to be in here, in the eye of the storm, where it's a little quieter. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, moving from here to here. And to basically, if the storms come, to live in the eye of the storm. Give me one moment, please. Oh. Right, all my stuff fell on the floor because the storm blew all my stuff onto the floor, so it was crazy. Hey, Ernie, how are you? I see you, actually, it's very funny because your little icon is you and me parasailing, and it kind of reminds me of being in a storm, because if you're up in the middle of the sky in Stormage, that would be pretty interesting. So you don't want to be in a parasail in the eye of the storm, absolutely. So, living in the eye of the storm, we're talking about the calm that's in the middle of all of the insanity. And the first thing you want to think about when you're living in the eye of the storm is, did you start that storm? Did you cause that storm to happen? Was this your fault? Or did something you do or not do result in this storm coming up and being and engulfing you? There's a lot of things that people do in their lives to create storms that surround them. A lot of things like not being prepared for something, knowing that a difficulty is coming, and not taking the right preparation to be able to get through a storm. I have a very busy day at work tomorrow, and I'm doing some extra preparation tonight to write up some orders and write up some stipulations so that I don't go crazy tomorrow, because last week I had a very busy week at work and I had a lot of difficulty, and it seemed like every day was right in the storm wall. I couldn't get to the eye of the storm. I was just in the storm every day. And was some of that caused by lack of preparation? Maybe. I didn't see this storm coming. I'm going to get to that in a second. But sometimes, there are things, certainly being on time for work, and now I'm realizing that on time is really not where I should be. I should be early. I have to be early at the courthouse, really like 5 after 9 or 10 after 9, because even coming in any later than that just makes the day different. And by taking that extra step to be earlier for something that you're doing, earlier for work. Ernie, we talked about this, just leaving 10 minutes earlier. You can avoid, the storm. So you have to consider whether or not you are creating the storm. What actions are you taking or not taking that causes the storm to happen? So that's one thing. Pay attention to if you're creating the storm. Sometimes, if you're just going to wing something, just like, I won't worry about it, I'll just figure it out when I get there, that can create a storm situation that, when you get there, you're in the eye wall, and you're getting whipped around, and you're trying to make it to the center where the calm is. So the things that you want to question yourself are, what can you do to avoid the storm? One of the things that happened this weekend was an amazing Halloween party. It was just so much fun, and it was so great. And it could have been some stormage, but it wasn't, because it was a small party at my friend Ernie's house. It was fabulous. And it was we talked about having a Halloween party. Ernie used to have the Halloween party all the time. And then years have gone by and it hasn't happened. And now we're thinking like, let's bring back the Halloween party. And you know what? We're a decade older. We're getting older in life, And he decided to still have the party, but have it on a smaller scale. So, we chose like a dozen handpicked or whatever close friends, a dozen close friends to have the party. And, it's kind of funny because, when we're younger and living more, I guess, stormy lives, you just like open the party to everybody, okay? Everybody from work's invited, everybody that in my neighborhood's invited, everyone from school, everyone from wherever, all my friends, all my family, everybody's invited. So now when you have something unleashed like that, it can cause stormage in your life because it's uncontrolled. You're kind of like opening the floodgates and just saying, whatever, everybody come to the party. And while that's fun, it can create stormage. And you end up in those bad winds that are, this is where that uncontrolled party happens. Ugh. But when we got to the part where he took control and invited a few people, and everybody said yes. That was the other amazing thing about inviting like a dozen people that, say, hey, we're going to have a party, you want to come? And they all said yes, and everybody showed up. I mean, you invite half the world to your party, only about 10% of the world shows up, and then you're like, I planned for 100 people and only 20 people came, and now I'm, in a little bit of whatever, stormage of having too much party and not enough people. But this was planned perfectly, and it went so great, and it was so much fun because everybody was happy to be there. Everybody was happy to be part of a smaller party and part of something that was, it was kind of almost more special because it was handpicked. And also, another thing that Ernie did was he decorated his house without, okay, I don't want to say there was a lot of decorations, but the decorations were special. They were like hand-picked. It wasn't like a ton of decorations, but he put like giant spiders all over his house. Big, big spiders. So, maybe I'm going to say a dozen big spiders around the house. I mean, how hard does it really take to put up a dozen items? It didn't take that long. And then he had a bunch of skeletons that he put up on his piano that looked great. So there were, you took all the skeletons and just put them in one place. So, and everybody loved the decorations. Then there was some other stuff. There was some scary clown stuff that, it really even scared me. He's got these big giant mask guys that they're like haunted people that are scary, and he put them all in one location so that you could get the full effect. So, even in preparing for something that in the past we might have just gone hog wild with decorations, and this was just so tastefully done and very simple. He kept it simple. That old KISS, keep it simple. And simple but very effective. And you can really be very effective with simple stuff. And then he ordered some food. And guess what? He only had to order food for, a dozen people. And, of course, people brought stuff, cakes and cupcakes, and I brought stuff. And even just doing that, just ordering for a dozen people. So it was like he slowed down and appreciated that, going back to basics. It was really like going back to basics and not going hog wild. And that can really prevent the storm from happening. And, even still, there's always that anxiety of like, oh my God, I'm about to have a party, and, I hope everybody comes, and what am I missing? And, at the last second, he didn't realize he forgot to get cups. And of course, he was out and realized it and got cups. And, that may have been also part of the calmness of it, like you're not going crazy. So the cups were something that, were last minute, but not upset. He was not upset about, oh, I forgot cups. Okay, here you go. And we would have figured it out. We would have used, there was a dozen people. It's not like, we had 100 people that needed cups. We could have used regular glassware or something. So, but even that was, and he even said, well, if I forgot, we have plenty of cups. So this making something small, taking small steps to, reducing the size of your project, to take smaller steps to get to an end can definitely help you to avoid creating the storm. Wayne Dyer said recently, I was listening to Excuses Be Gone, and he said, I take small steps but have big results. So that's kind of what happened with this Halloween party. It was like small steps but big results, and everybody had a great time. It was just it was a blast, and it was so much fun. And I had a lot of fun. I was Grumpy Cat, and that was always fun. So you just go slow. Just go slow with with whatever you're. Oh, excuse me. Slow down and take a look and decide if you really need something really giant to fit a situation that could cause stormage, or just go slow and just think on a smaller scale, and then it's more easy to control. So we're talking about what, so if the other question is, did you see the storm coming? Now, sometimes you'll know. Like, I know tomorrow already. I have a lot of cases in court, and I know it's getting a little crazy at the courthouse. People are panicking because of a new judge. And I can see that it's a storm coming. So I'm taking preparation ahead of time tonight to be ready. I'm going to be very prepared to leave early tomorrow because all of my work is going to be prepared. My briefcase is going to be packed. I've talked about Jordan Peterson. What can you do the night before? One thing that can make your day the next day better. And that's one of my things, is get my briefcase ready. And I've been doing it more and more, and it's a huge help. It's a huge help. When I was a kid, my parents, it's like paradigms. You're going back to what you used to. some people will always be prepared and they'll always see the storm coming and it'll always be easier for them. But some people like me that kind of run crazy and nuts, because that's just the way my life is, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I won't worry about it till then. I think, Ernie, you're probably like that. I'll worry about it when it's happening. You worry about stuff when it's happening, sometimes you think like, oh, well, I could have avoided some aggravation there. And really, that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about the aggravation that's in the wall of the storm that's surrounding the eye. Very aggravating over here. This part is very aggravating. This part is very calm. So you want to avoid the aggravation and get into the calm. So sometimes, storms are going to happen when you go to a specific place. If you're driving in traffic, if you know that you're going to hit rush hour, that's something that you can see the storm coming. Or if there are people that that aggravate you. I hate to say, family or friends that are, coming up for the holidays. So sometimes you have to go someplace for Thanksgiving. Or, if it's something difficult that, you have to deal with, a loss of something, a funeral or something like that. That's something that you can see this storm coming. And sometimes you're not going to be able to avoid that. So you have to, get ready to say, okay, there's a storm coming. How am I going to avoid it? Sometimes you're just going to avoid those people or avoid that place or leave extra time. If unfortunately, if you have to attend to somebody who's ill or sick or a funeral, you just got to suck it up and go through it, So these are things that, something like a funeral or somebody's illness, that's a storm that comes that you don't see coming. Lots of times, people end up with bad news and it's nothing you saw coming, and now all of a sudden the storm is upon you. So you don't have time to prepare for it. You just have to say, okay, well, the storm is here. I didn't see it. I mean, people in California are running from wildfires. I mean, I've had a lot of hurricanes in Florida, and we could see them coming for days ahead. But people who are having wildfires or tornadoes or stuff like that, I mean, that storm is something that you can't see coming. All of a sudden it's there. All of a sudden it's upon you. And you have to maybe hope that you have some backup prep in your brain or in your home or in your life that you can just apply immediately to, get out of that storm and into the eye or something away from that. So that's two ways that the storm comes. Either you see it coming or either you don't see it coming. And it doesn't matter because once it's upon you, if you haven't taken the right preparation or haven't set your mental mind to deal with it, then, you're going to be in the eye of the storm. So, in the wall of the storm. So what we want to do is get to the eye of the storm. And this is... there's two ways that you get to the eye of the storm. Either you move yourself into the eye of the storm by doing something, by getting past the difficulty that's coming at you, doing something where you're preparing and you're going to move away from the difficulty. Leaving for work early, having all my papers ready to go. This is stuff that when I get to the eye of the storm, when I get to the storm, hopefully I'll be able to move into the eye by my actions. By my actions, I'm going to be able to move and get to that calmness, get to that place where I can be like, okay, I can deal with this. I can deal with the storm. I'm in the calm. I'm in the eye of the storm. Sometimes you need help. Sometimes you need help to get there. I am definitely getting help tomorrow from my colleagues who we have many places that need to be covered in the courthouse, and I'm offering help to them and they're offering help to me. So we're trading so that you can get help. Sometimes you can get help to move from the eye walls, the walls of the storm where it's the windiest and craziest, and get into the eye where it's calm and where you're literally centered. And that's two things that you can do to to get out of the storm and move into the eye. The other thing that you can do is stay still and wait for the eye of the storm to come over you. So either you stay in the storm and you move yourself to the eye, or you stay still and you wait for the storm to move. That is the classic, Florida hurricane situation. You can't move. You can't pick up your house and move it to Georgia. You can move yourself, but you can't move your property. So literally, some people, what do they say? Ride out the storm. So you sit still and the storm goes over you. My mother always had a saying, this too shall pass. And when you're in the craziness and there's nothing you can do to move yourself into the eye of the storms where it's calm, you have to just sit there and wait and, do your best to, in situations like this, respond and not react. Reacting is not going to help when you're in the eye of the storm, when you're in the wall of the storm, because that's where really that hyper energy is going to feed the storm. When you're reacting and you're screaming in traffic, that's not going to help. I mean, you see people, these road rage drivers. I mean, this is a perfect example of somebody who's reacting in the storm, and they're going to end up being in a worse storm. Or, God forbid, there's a guy this weekend that came home from work and he found his wife fooling around with her trainer, and he shot him. He shot the guy. Well, guess what? You walked into a storm, and instead of responding and maybe leaving or saying, I want to divorce you, he reacted and he shot the guy. So now he's in an even bigger storm. And there's no calm that's going to come from this. This is going to be something that's very, you don't want to be reacting like that in a bad situation. If you wait, this too shall pass. So when the storm is on top of you, wait for it to pass. So another thing that will help you to move either way, from where you are in the storm into the eye, or staying still and waiting for the storm to pass over you so that you get to the eye and you're calmer. One of the things that people do a lot of times is breathe. If you're in the storm and it's crazy all around you, what do they say? Take 3 deep breaths. 3 deep breaths. Even 1 deep breath can help you, but 3 takes a lot of the energy out of the chaos. 3 deep breaths. That's something that you can do when you're in the storm, when you're in the chaos, when you're in the anxiety and insanity. Take 3 deep breaths, and that could move you into the eye of the storm where things are calmer. I mean, even just by natural reaction, my whole body has calmed down from taking those deep breaths. That's something that is definitely a plus when you're in the storm, to get to the eye. Another thing that I talk about all the time is my meditation head. I haven't shown my meditation head in a while. This is what happens. This is stormage. All this stuff is stormage going in, and this is what happens when you meditate. You have a clean spot on your brain. That's what meditation does. It gives you a clean spot on your brain, a calmness, a calm spot. When that's there, you have someplace to go during the storm. In your own head, there's a place of peace and calm. If you're crazy, if you're one of the people that runs around and you're in the storm and you don't have this, and this is all covered with black as well, then you're not going to have any place in your head to go when you're looking for the calm in the storm. So you have to definitely take, I try and meditate. Oh, excuse me. I try and meditate every morning, and, sometimes during the day, even in the shower, or even if I just take 5 minutes and I just calm my brain. I just, even the deep breathing, anything that's going to keep you calm is going to let your brain develop that clean spot, so that whenever you're in the craziness, you'll have a place to go in your brain. And unless you practice meditation, and that's why they call it practicing meditation, because it takes practice to get there. You can't just do it one time and have a clean spot. You have to do it over and over and over, and that clean spot, starts to take hold there. And then you can go there. Go to your, what do they say? Go to your quiet space. Go to your, I love, and when I'm panicking, really panicking, and I got to go to my quiet space, my safe space, it's Lake George. I always think about Lake George in the mountains, surrounded by water and mountains and my dog, and it's just the greatest. And it will always, calm me down, bring me out of the chaos and into calmness. So I've been looking up, I looked up some quotes about the eye of the storm, and this is from a guy named Bo Talpin. I don't know who he is, but I like the quote, and it says, "However horrible the day, remember to find a moment to breathe. There is a calm which can be found even in the middle of a hurricane." So that's like your classic application of taking a breath to make yourself calm in the storm, calm in the chaos, and the breathing will naturally bring you to the eye of the storm where everything is calm. The thing about being in the storm is that it would be good if you could avoid the storm. Sometimes you can't always avoid the storm. Sometimes you're going to end up there. There was this is a quote that I found about eagles, which I liked. I don't know who said it, but I'm about to say it. "When a storm is coming, all other birds seek shelter, but the eagle alone avoids the storm by flying above it. So in the storms of life, make your heart soar like an eagle." So that's definitely an interesting concept. Even hurricanes, they only go up to this level. They know that's why the planes can fly over them if they're going past hurricanes. So the idea about being, able to go over the storm, like an eagle, I thought that was pretty interesting way to consider how to avoid the storms. But there's another quote that I saw that, two of them actually. One that says, "Sometimes when you have to spend a little time in the eye of the storm, you see the importance of the sunshine on the other side." So this is an interesting thing because, ultimately our plan is to get to the eye of the storm. And in the eye of the storm is where it's calm. So what can you learn from being in the eye of the storm? When you're in the eye of the storm, you're out of the chaos, you're out of the insanity, and it gives you a moment to breathe and calm yourself, to review the situation around you. How did the storm come about? How can I get out of this storm? What do I have to do to move, either stay in the eye and move with the storm and stay in the eye of the storm, or go to out, away from the storm, pull yourself out of the storm. So you're going to review the situation. You're going to evaluate the actions that you want to take, and you're going to have time to plan those actions, to say what, if I have to, get ready for tomorrow and I have to make sure that I have coverage in different places. Being calm will give me a chance to evaluate that and plan for the ability to get through, or to weather the storm, or to move along with the storm, but still stay in the eye of the storm, so that even though the storm's going on around me, I'll still remain calm. So that's something that I thought was pretty, definitely only if you're calm are you able to think about how to get the benefit of being in the eye of the storm. Because, storm is something that, like I said, you're not going to get away from storms. There are only going to be storms in life. But being able to get to the eye of the storm and seeing the benefits from being in the eye and cruising with the storm, but staying calm. Because that storm is going to move. Just like hurricanes move across. Imagine if you were in a car and you could just drive with the hurricane but stay in the eye of the storm the whole way. You would not be affected by the storm. You would travel with it. The storm would be all around you, but you would come out on the other side, and when the storm is gone, you would be fine. This is a phrase from Norman Vincent Peale that I thought was really great. And I love him. He's a fantastic author. Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking, one of the best books I ever read. And he says, "A cyclone derives its power from a calm center. And so does a person. So if you think about it, when you spin that top, that toy, it's top and it's spinning in the middle, the very center of it is where it's getting all of its power to push around. And just like, the eye of the storm has all of the power of the cyclone, even though it's the calmest part of the storm. So be that person that takes the power from inside the eye of the storm, where it's calm, where you can evaluate, where you can review, where you can prepare in a state of calm and not chaos. And you'll be much better able to weather that storm and get out of it. And this is John Lockwood Hugh. I don't know who he is. This was a beautiful color picture of, looked like a hole in the middle of a storm. I kind of liked it, but of course it's only in black and white right now. And it says, life is always lived in the center of the storm. Now, that's really a cool thing, because if you think about, yes, storms always come and go and come and just keep going. And, they don't always leave. The best part of your life is going to be in the center of that storm, because that's where the calmness is. And you can't always avoid that storm. It's going to be something that you're going to be gaining power from inside the storm, being able to manipulate the storm, being able to come out better on the other side of the storm. And if you think about storms gaining their power from the eye, where it's calm, that's what you can also do as a person. And, it seems kind of, like against what you would normally think, that a storm is gaining its power from the center. And that your life you can gain power from a point where you're calm and meditative and relaxed and easier to evaluate. All of those mind practices and perspectives are going to allow you to evaluate any problem or any difficulty much more calmly to a better result. So live your life in the eye of the storm, and you'll be able to come out better and survive the storms in life, because they're going to come. They're every day. Every day there's some kind of little storm that whirls up. And if you just get to the center or move with the storm so that you're in the center, then you'll be able to be, calm. And it takes an appreciation of what is the eye of the storm. And if you've ever been in a hurricane and you've seen it come over and the eye of the storm happens, and if you can't move with that eye of the storm, then the next part of the hurricane is coming and the next part of the storm is coming, and you get hit with the chaos again. So you only have a little bit of time in the eye of the storm to evaluate and relax and prep and do all of those things. And that's where your brain should be, from that vantage point in the eye of the storm, to focus and manage the storm. So that's what I want you to do this week. If you think that there's things that you can do to avoid the storm, don't help create the storm. Get out of the way of the storm. Fly above it. Avoid people, places, and things that are stormy. Or take preparation for the storm if you see it coming. If you know it's going to be a busy traffic day, or if it's going to rain in the morning and traffic's going to be worse, take an extra half an hour to leave. Any of those things. Be prepared for your work. Be prepared for a meeting. If it's even, getting home and cooking dinner, which could be stormy if you have a big hungry family. Order food. If you're having party, order food. Keep it simple. Don't take on bigger projects when you're trying to get through the midst of something else. Don't add to the storm. Use meditation and deep breathing to calm yourself when you're in the storm, because you have to get to that eye where that power is going to increase your ability. The strength in the eye of the storm, even though it seems calm, is a very powerful place that will get you through the storm or move you with the storm so that you have less damage on the other end. So this week, when you have stormy situations, think about getting to the eye of the storm, because it's always there. There's always a place in the storm that's going to be calm. Don't think like, I'll never get out of this. This doesn't work. You're going to be living in this part of the storm. Don't live here. You want to live here. We all want to live here. This is the better places to live. But it doesn't always happen. Storms come. Get to the eye of the storm. And you can do it. And the more you do it, the more you practice that, then the more you're going to be able to do it every time you see a storm coming or a storm shows up unexpectedly. Focus on getting to the eye of the storm and living from that place. So that's all I have to say this week. I hope that you don't have storms in your life, but if you do, and you will, get to the eye of the storm and respond, don't react, respond, and stay calm, and this too shall pass. And thank you all for watching. Until next week, where I will be in New Orleans. I will be coming to you live from New Orleans on November something 3rd, I think it is, next Sunday. Until then, I love you all, and love is all you need. Thank you so much. Bye. Have a great day. Have a great day. Go Green Bay Packers and go Saints. Bye.